Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to this space game that we keep coming back to. The penultimate event has been underway for about 12 hours now. Well, over 12 hours at this point. And it's time to take a little peek at the new Cruiser Titan Pharmakon thing that is known as the Monitor. It is their new Titan, and all I have to say is we're not going to be jumping over to the event. We're going to take a look at the fleet because that's where I'm at. So, my initial fitting is basically the same thing that all my initial fittings are. It's all level 1 equipment and nothing on the back. I haven't even gotten around to adding a skin to it or anything like that because, I mean, I'm busy doing other things. But all I have to say is the skin looks exactly the same it is now, but it is black and white, and it actually looks surprisingly decent on the ship. We'll actually take a look at it later next week after I completely build up the fleet, because one thing I wanted to start doing was messing with the new targets as they upgrade them and stuff like that. And I'm going to be looking at the Mark II targets, well, the Mark III targets with the Mark I ships, because I want to see what we can do with them. But the initial stats for that fleet commander are 42,800, so almost 43,000 hit points, 25,000 points of phase screen, so not a whole lot of a phase pool for just an individual ship. It's going to be under 160,000 for 6 of them, but you win some, you lose some. But that's not what we're here for. We want to take a look at the overdrives and stuff like that. We're going to take a look at the drone overdrive first, which is the ancillary routine. And when it takes 2,000 damage, it'll launch a drone. The drones will help protect it. They have basically no DPS, and even when you fully max it out and go to Mark 6, they still basically have no DPS. They just get a large pool of health, and that large pool of health even extends down into the lower tiers, as you can see right now, with 10,000 hit points. But I mean, it's a drone, it's going to die, expect it to die. The only thing it's going to be able to do for you is give ablative recovery suppression of 50%, so it'll be a little bit more easy to force the umbral target's main pool of health down, as you're not going to allow them to recover their ablative. Aside from that, the only other mentionable thing is its own ablative suppression of a 10% reduction and the 5% damage increase just for firing on the target. However, the main thing that I'm going to be having fun with is also where I'm going to be nicknaming it, and this is the defrag. Upon exiting phase space, the monitor detonates a series of 3 increasingly more powerful plasma explosions. Now, this damage does increase as well. No other stats change, but it does increased health damage and stuff like that. It gets extremely hilarious because it does at Mark 1, 2,800 damage. Doesn't seem like much, but then you account for it being on 6 different ships. You can all pull them into the same direction, Mark 1 ships. Due to the AoE radius, if you can catch a umbral fleet and you can bunch them up, you can just strip them of their ablative and then just start eating away at them. However, at Mark 1, the ships aren't going to be too good because, well, the phase pool is going to be extremely small, and as you can see from this, the charge values aren't too good with the Mark 1, stuff like that. But the Mark 6s, well, the elites, they'll have upwards of about twice this charge value and stuff like that, and that's without accounting for level 3 charge specials and things like that. At the moment, defrag is going to be my favorite feature, and I'm most likely going to call them the little bomb droppers. You're going to see why later as I walk through 2 outpost targets with them, because this is what I started testing targets against. I started taking the new tech recently and throwing it into the Axis outpost because I wanted to see what they could do to it. All I have to say is the defrag overdrive is perfectly hilarious on the monitor. Aside from that, there's nothing else major to mention because it has the same phase state that you would expect. And all I have to say is when it's in phase, it's extremely snappy and turns like a dream. Aside from that, it has the weapon mass reduction, armor mass reduction, screen mass reduction, stuff like that. At Mark 1, it just gets better. And at Mark Elite, this is the other thing I wanted to bring up with the defrag real quick. The maximum damage is 4,000. No, wait, it was over 4,000. It was 5,600 damage per ship. Yeah. So, have fun with that 30,000 plus damage burst of plasma from the ships when they all come out of phase. The other thing is, instead of an extra defense slot like the Ajax and Amarok, the Monitor gets an additional armor slot. So, in turn, it actually has a better durability under the screen, but we all know that that's because when you exit phase space, you have no defense, and you take direct armor damage to a large value and whatnot. You also have your 2 resistance slots, which you're going to want to make full use of because it is Pharmakon after all, and you're going to need every little bit of help you can get. Aside from that, I think it's time that we take it out and jump over to the pre-recorded gameplay of the target, which is the Pharmakon Ace 104, which is the top target, and the 2 base tests so you can actually see its overdrive in action, and so I can blabber on a little bit more about it. So, let's go ahead and let's jump over to the pre-recorded gameplay now. Okay, welcome to the Pharmakon 104, also known as the Ace. This is the top target, and this is going to be the target you're going to have to beat if you want the Cleave Missile 2, and that's about it. That's basically the only reason to fight it, because you, by now, if you've been keeping up with the tech, you already have everything else that's in the fleet, with the exception of the Monitor and the Cleave Missile 1. Basically, the only reason to hit them is to be able to get them a little more easily and whatnot. So, a little bit of information. This was the first attack I took against them. I went in blind, normally I scout the targets. I didn't feel like scouting them, so this could have ended in a disaster, but as I found out, it's a 1 coin repair per target for me just rushing through it like this. Wasn't half bad, all I have to say though, is you're going to need a special damage type to be able to beat the fleet, because if you're using the standard damage types, you won't really be able to outpace the phase pool. So, recommended damage types, if you're going in with a Dreadnought, is going to be Blight, Plasma, or Xeno. Xeno out of the case because that's only available on Tier 7, and we don't want to bring a Tier 7 into this fight due to the number of targets. So that means you only get to use the Zettabyte or the Leviathan in the situation that I'm proposing. Unless you're a little bit more... unless you're a bit more of a risk taker. In which case, then you could probably try the Harvester just for the memes, or the Orator, depending on which one. But, I mean, you can give it your best shot. Now, on to the actual gameplay most of you came here for, and that is the Monitor. I chose the level 82 targets because they're the lowest level target that'd be mostly guaranteed for repair time after each fight, so I could just play around with the ship because I didn't want to break it on the first day I had it, unlike the Ajax a while back where I broke that thing in the first 20 minutes I had it. No. I want to be able to keep this one out for a little while because I actually want all of you to recommend how I break it. What should I attack that will ultimately lead to the Monitor's destruction? Because I will record that as well as the hilarity that ensues. But for now, you get to watch it with its very, very sick overdrive just plasma blast this base out of existence as it just AoE nukes everything into nothingness. Utterly hilarious, but also utterly a shame because, I mean, it basically just cleared the entire base in under a minute on its own. All by flying into the bunch of them and just plasmaing them out of existence. Now, that same can't be said for the heavy base here, as you're about to see, because remember, it has the 2 little arms. It basically wipes out everything the same way in the level 82 heavy base, but the 2 wings, I still have to fly out and take them out. Now, one thing I will say is, as you can see, Fleet Commander Victoria is with the Monitor at the moment. The reason for that is because it is called a Cleave Missile for a reason, and as you can see, it actually does boost the weapon speed, it gives a little bit more AoE and stuff like that. There's a few other things that I want to test around with it, but at the moment, the Fleet Commander is mainly for the health bonus to make sure that I get free repair times, as well as for the weapon speed, the AoE, just general things for the ship itself. And also for, I think, was it Xeno resistance that she provides? No, that's the special bonus. No, it's Blight resistance she provides. No? It is Xeno. Ah, it's been a while since I've looked. I'm gonna have to check. Isn't that just sad? But this is, by all intents and purposes, basically how you can use the Pharmakon Monitor. Just rush your targets, and use the just high blast of AoE to just take the targets out. When you have all 6 ships fully upgraded, it's going to be 30,000 damage per burst, and that's not accounting for the 25% increase against health. And I mean, if you account for that, well, enjoy your near 40,000. It's going to be, what, 37,000? Yeah, enjoy that damage burst, because that's just absurd. However, that's it for now. I've blabbered on long enough. It's time for all of you to head out. So, be safe out there, my pack. Happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you later.
Locking coordinates.